So we have seen, so in the last class, okay, I think we started tuples, right? So this is a tuples, and now let us see what is the difference. चलेगा चलेगा So let us see what is the difference between list and tuple here. Malawi system. Huh? Hard disk Yes. Okay, here. Listen. Yes. So what is the difference? So I said, what is the difference between list and tuple here? What is the difference between the list and tuple? Now there are some differences between the list and tuple here. So what are those differences between the list and tuple? So it is like this. So this is a list and this is a tuple. So whereas list is what here mutable sequence, and tuple is you'll say tuple is okay immutable sequence, right? List is a mutable sequence and tuple is what here immutable sequence. Means after creating list you can do the changes, but after creating tuple you cannot do any changes. Okay, and because of it is immutable, okay, because of, see, this is mutable. So after creating, if you want, you can write this difference, otherwise not required. After creating list, we can do changes. We can do what here? Changes. But after creating list, we cannot do changes. So tuple doesn't provide methods like what? Append. So these methods are not there. Insert, pop, remove, update, okay, sort. So these methods are not there. So these methods are not there in what? Tuple. Okay, these methods are not there in tuple, but you find this method in list. You find this methods in list, but you don't find this methods in tuple. So list is mutable and tuple is immutable. After creating list, we can do changes. After creating tuple, we cannot do changes. Tuple doesn't provide methods like append, insert, pop, remove, and update methods. So list take or list occupy more space to perform mutable operations. Okay, but tuple doesn't take more space. Okay, because it is what here immutable. Because it is immutable, it doesn't take much space. But list occupies more space to perform mutable operations. But tuple doesn't take more space because it is immutable. Okay, and then next is list. List is created using list is created using comprehension. Okay, list is created by using comprehension, but tuple no. So tuple doesn't support which one here comprehension. So there is no comprehension supported by tuple, but list is created using comprehension. Now square brackets used to create list and parenthesis used to create which one tuple. So list class. So your list class is used to represent list object, and here tuple class is used to represent tuple object. So list class is used to represent list object, and tuple class is used for representing tuple object. Okay, right now these are some differences here. List is a mutable sequence, but tuple is what here? A mutable sequence. After creating list, we can do changes, but after creating tuple, we cannot do changes because tuple doesn't provide methods like append, insert, pop, remove, and what update, sort. But list occupies more space to perform mutable operations, but tuple doesn't take more space because it is what here immutable. For doing this mutable operations, it requires some more space. Because of that, now list is created using comprehension, but tuple doesn't support what comprehension. And square brackets is used for creating list, and parenthesis is used for creating tuple. And because of list is immutable, it is not which one hashable. It is not hashable, and it is not used in hash-based data structures. It is not used in which data structure hash-based. It is not used in hash-based data structures. Okay, for representing data structures for representing data. But tuple is so list is mutable. It is not hashable. Okay, tuple is immutable, and it is what here hashable, and it is used in hash based data structures. It is used in hash-based data structures for representing which one? Data. Now this can be used in hash-based data structures for representing data, but list cannot be used. List cannot be used, but tuple can be used, right? So these are some of the differences between the list and tuple. But I said no, tuples is like a immutable list only. But I said no, where the tuple is used? I said no, tuple is used to represent data in which data structures, hash-based data structures. Hash-based data structures are like set, okay, set and what is that? Dictionaries. I can use this tuple to represent data inside what? Set. I can use a tuple to represent data inside the set. I can use a tuple to represent data inside what? Dictionaries. Inside the set and inside what here? Dictionaries. Okay. Yes, because it is immune. Now we will see what is hash-based data structures and other things. But let us see. Now you can say it is immutable. Yeah, it is immutable list. So tuples are immutable sequences typically used to store collections of which data heterogeneous. Tuples are also used for cases where an immutable sequence of homogeneous data is needed, such as allowing storage in what set or dictionaries. So tuple class is used for constructing which object? Tuple object. And tuples may be constructed in number of ways using parentheses like this. You can create the tuple like this. Okay. Let us see how this is done here. So some T1 equal to parenthesis. Now this represents which tuple here? Empty tuple. This is very much useful in application development. Like commonly it is used in developing functions. Okay, you write the functions, right? You write the functions. You write the functions and you write the functions with different types of arguments. Okay, in Python, you write the functions with different types of arguments. Arguments are parameters. So you write a function with some four types of arguments or parameters. One is called as a required arguments, and second one is called as optional arguments, and third one is called as variable length arguments, and fourth one is called as a keyword arguments. So you write a function with different types of arguments. So that is required arguments, optional arguments, variable length arguments, and keyword arguments. So your variable length arguments are represented as which type? Tuple. Variable length arguments is represented as a tuple. For example, it is like this. Generally in Python, you write a function by using the keyword called def. If you want to write a function in Python, you'll try to use a keyword called which one? Def. Def is a keyword which you are using it to represent what? Function. Def is a keyword which you are using it to represent what? Function. So def is a keyword and the name of the function is some function 1. Def is a keyword and name of the function is function 1. I write this function 1 with two arguments. One is A and one more is what? B. So it means I call this function by sending how many values? Two values. So these are called as required arguments. Okay, each argument receive how many values here? One value. Each argument receive how many values here? One value. 10 is received by A and 20 is received by what? B. So each argument receive how many values here? One value. But I want to write one argument that should receive more than one value. I want to create a function with one argument that should receive more than one value. Okay, suppose I'm writing one function called maximum. So what is the name of the function here? Maximum. And to this maximum, I should able to send any number of values. Suppose if I'm writing a comma b, now this function will receive how many values? Two values. Because this function is having how many inputs? Two inputs. So I can send how many values here? Two values. This function is having how many inputs? Two inputs. So I can send how many values here? Two values. I can send only two values, but I should send any number of values. Then I'll write a function with which arguments here? Variable length. So when you write here star, now this variable is prefixed with what here? Star. So star means don't think that it is a pointers. Okay, like in C, you call it as which one? Pointers. But it is not called as a pointer. Here the star represent type. Here star represents what? Type. Star doesn't represent pointer here. Star represent what here? Type. So A is an argument or variable of which type? A is a variable or argument of which type? Variable length. And it's nothing but this variable length is nothing but what here? Tuple. This variable length is nothing but what here? Tuple. Is it tuple hold one value or more than one value? More than one value. Is it tuple hold one value or more than one value? More than one value. Very good. So it is also useful when you are working with the functions, right? So in functions you learn again. But if you want to work with the functions, you should know tuples, you should know dictionaries, you should know tuples, and you should know even dictionaries, right? So you can create a tuple by using parenthesis, and that parenthesis represent which tuple? Empty tuple. It means this tuple doesn't have any values. If I'm writing type of T1, T1 is an object of which class? Tuple class. T1 is an object of which class here? Tuple class. I'm trying to write T2 and I want to create a tuple with one value. So if I want to create a tuple with one value, if I'm writing T2 equal to within parenthesis 10. So within the parenthesis, actually parenthesis also used for grouping what? Expression. Okay, if you want to group the expression, you can group the expression by using what? Parenthesis. So within parenthesis, if I want to represent one value, you have to separate that using which one? Comma. So this indicates that a tuple contain how many values? One value. So otherwise, if I'm not separating with the comma here, if I'm not separating with the comma, now this tuple, this is treated as tuple or expression? Expression. It is not treated as a tuple, but it is treated as what? Expression. Expression. Okay, now if I'm writing type of T2, T2 is of which type? Integer type. Because grouping of expression is also done within parenthesis. So if you want to write a tuple with one value, it is always required to represent a value by separating with what? Comma. Now this tuple is called as a singleton tuple. Singleton tuple means the tuple having how many values? One value. So if you want to represent a tuple with one value, you separate with what? Comma. Okay, inside the parenthesis, you just put what? Comma. So that you can call it a singleton tuple. If you want to create a tuple with multiple values, you separate these multiple values by using comma. So I just write here print T4 and you can print even type of T4, and T4 is a tuple. I mean T4 is a variable of which type again? Tuple type. So can you create a tuple without using parentheses? Yes. Can you create a tuple without using parentheses? Yes. You just assign values by separating with what? Comma. Suppose if I'm writing T5 equal to 10, T5 is a variable of which type? If I write T5 equal to 10, 10 is which value? Integer. It means T5 is a variable of which type? Integer type. T5 is a variable of which type? Integer type. But if I'm writing T5 equal to 10 comma, if I'm writing T5 equal to 10 comma, then T5 is which type? Tuple type. So it is a tuple is having how many values? One value. But are you use any parenthesis here? No. You have not used any parenthesis. If I'm writing T5, so T5 is a tuple and this tuple is having how many values? One value. Now I can write T6 equal to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40. So I try to assign how many values to the variable? 5 values. Okay, but is it one variable can hold 5 values? No. A variable can hold how many values? One value. But here T6 is holding how many values? 5 values or one value? One. It is holding only one object of which type? Tuple. It is holding only one object of which type? Tuple. And that tuple is having how many values? 5 values. If I print T6, now you can see 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, and you can also print the type of T6. Now T6 is of type which one again? Tuple. Getting on. So you're trying to use a tuple. You're trying to use a tuple to store more than one value. But I said no, tuples are immutables. Okay, tuples are immutables. Means after creating tuple, you cannot do any changes. After creating tuple, you cannot do any changes. So it is also index based because list is an index sequence and tuple is also what here? Sequence. And all the sequences are index based and supports indexing and what? Slicing. And supports indexing and slicing. All the sequences are index based and support indexing and slicing. Okay. So what will happen exactly? See here. Now if I'm trying to write T1, suppose I created one tuple. Okay, assume that I created one tuple, some t equal to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. So what will happen? It will try to create one tuple. So what will happen? It will try to create one tuple. Yes. So it will create one tuple. So this is a tuple. And this tuple is having how many values here? 4 values are there. So this tuple is having some 5 values. This tuple is having some 5 values. Same like a list. This value is 10. So how many values are there? 10, 5 values. So this is 10 and 20. And this value is 30. And this value is 40. And this value is what here? 50. And each value is identified with what? Index. Each value is identified with the index. Now what you can do is you can read the values by using index. So what is the value of t of 0? 10. What is the value of t of 1? 20. But can I write t of 0? Can I say t of 0? Can I write t of 0 equal to 99? No, I cannot write it because is it a tuple is mutable or immutable? Immutable. Means once a tuple is created, you cannot do any changes. So you cannot do changes inside what here tuple. You can just read it, but you cannot write it. You cannot write it. You cannot write it. You can read it, but you cannot write it. If you are trying to write, then immediately Python gives what? Error. Assignment is not allowed. Assignment is not allowed. If I am writing t of 0, what is the value at t of 0? 10. What is the value of t of 1? 20. But if I am writing t of 0 equal to 99, see what you are trying to do, you are trying to replace the value at which location? 0 location. What is the value at 0 location here? 10. And this value 10, you are replacing with what? 99. This value 10, you are replacing with what here? 99. And once you press enter, it is given error. What is that error? Type error. And tuple object does not support item assignment. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, in the same way, if I am writing t1 t dot append, is it any method called append in the tuple? No. So there is no method called append. So attribute error. Tuple object has no attribute called which one? Append. There's no attribute called append, right? So that's the reason you'll say tuple is which one here? Immutable. And after creating these tuples, you cannot do any changes. After creating tuple, you cannot do any changes. But if you're trying to do changes, it will generate the error. If you're trying to do the changes, it will generate what? Error. So unpacking sequences, unpacking. Packing means, what is the meaning packing? Grouping. Packing means grouping. Unpacking means extracting. Packing means grouping. Unpacking means extracting. So unpacking is a process of reading values from the sequence and assigning to individual variables. Okay, unpacking is a process of reading values from a collection, or what is that sequence, and assigning to individual individual what? Variables. And that process you call it as which one? Unpacking. So this unpacking is not only related with the tuple, it is also related with all the collections. For example, I created list with how many values? 3 values. I want to assign these 3 values to 3 variables. Then I'll say A comma B comma C equal to list 1. Okay, what I said here, A comma B comma C equal to what? List 1. So list 1 is assigned to how many variables here? 3 variables. So why? Because this list 1 is having how many values? 3 values. And each value I want to assign it to one variable. So 10 is assigned to the variable called A, and 20 is assigned to the variable called B, and 30 is assigned to the variable called which one? C. So once you say print A comma B comma C, what are the values of A, B, C? 10, 20, 30. Suppose if I am writing X equal to list 1, what you are doing now? What are you doing now? This is unpacking or assigning list to X. Is it this is unpacking or assigning list to X? Assigning list to X. You assign the list to X. This is not unpacking. This is not unpacking. So in this case, X and list 1 both are holding the same list. So this is not called as unpacking. This is not called as unpacking. Now suppose there is a tuple. So tuple is having how many values here? 3 values. Then I'll say X comma Y comma Z equal to T1. So how many values are there in the tuple? 3 values. So first value is assigned to x, second value is assigned to y, third value is assigned to what? Z. Okay. Now you can see x value is 10, y value is 20, z value is what? 30. So can you read the values and assign to the multiple variables? Yes. So that can be done by using which process? Unpacking. Unpacking means reading, extracting. That is just like a zip and unzip. Packing means grouping. Unpacking means reading. Reading individual elements. For example, there is a list. For example, there is a list contain 5 values. There is a list contain how many values? 5 values. But from this list, I want to read only 2 values and assign to how many variables? 2 variables. I want to read how many values here? Only 2 values. Now, first value, I want to assign it to A, and second value, I want to assign it to B, and remaining values, I want to assign it to another variable. I want to assign remaining values to what? Another variable. Then you'll try to define that as which argument? Variable length. I'll say star C. Star C. Now this star indicates what here? Type. It is of which type? Sequence type. Okay, it means this variable hold one value or more than one value? More than one value. But A hold how many values? One value. B hold how many values? One value. But C hold how many values? More than one value. Suppose if I say L2, I'll say L2. Then what happened here? The value of A is, tell me, what is the value of A? 10. What is the value of B? 20. What is the value of C? 30, 40, 50. 30, 40, 50. Now it is of which type? List type. It is of which type? List type. It means remaining values are assigned to which variable? C. But if I write A comma B comma C equal to L2, what will happen? How many values are there in the list? How many values are there in the list? 5 values. And you are assigning these 5 values to how many variables? 3 variables. Is it 5 values can be assigned to 3 variables? No. 5 values are assigned to how many variables? 5 variables. But we assign to how many variables here? 3 variables. Is it allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Then immediately it will give the error. You can see what is the error here? Value error. Too many values to what here? Unpack. Too many values to what here? Unpack. Expected how many values here? 3 values. But your list is having how many values? 5 values. Because of that, you are telling explicitly, read first value, second value into xy, and remaining values you assign it to which one? Z. Because Z is of which type? Collection type. Now that star indicates what here? Type. So it is a type of which one? Collection. Okay. Yes. Then I'll try to say L2. In this case, is it gives any error here? No. X value, Y value, and what is that? Z. X is holding one value, Y is holding one value, and Z is holding how many values? 3 values. So that is what you mean by unpacking. So packing is nothing but grouping. So packing is a process of grouping, and unpacking is a process of reading from the sequence. So collection, so that can be list, or that can be what? Tuple. So here the variable which is prefixed with star, the variable which is prefixed with star, what it hold? Variable prefixed with the star hold what? More than one value. The variable prefix with the star represents, variable prefix with the star represents prefix with star represents which type? Which type here? Sequence type. Which hold more than what? one value. The variable prefixed with star is represent sequence type and that hold more than one value. Okay, variable prefixed with star represents sequence type which hold more than one value. Not one value, it holds more than one value. Now this is called as unpacking. Which one here? Sequence. So packing is a grouping and unpacking is what? Reading. Unpacking is what here? Reading, but you cannot write. You cannot write a star A equal to 10, comma 20. Can I write star A equal to 10, comma 20? No. If I write like this, there is which error? Syntax error. Star assigned target must be in a list or what is that? Tuple. Okay, it is given which error here? Syntax error. Because you can assign directly A equal to 10 comma 20, right? A equal to 10 comma 20, then A is which type here? Tuple type. Getting on it. If you want to unpack, then first should be what? A variable, and second should be what here? Sequence type. Then here I can write A comma, what is that? Star B. Can I write A comma star B? Now this is called as which one? This is called as which one? Tuple. Now A is having how many values? One value. But B is having one value, but it is of which type? List type. So whenever you unpack the sequence, it will return the result in which type? List type. It will return the result into which type? List type, right? So suppose, for example, a basic example, if you see it, suppose write a program to swap two numbers. Okay, write a program to swap two numbers. Okay, write a program to swap two numbers. What are you doing here? You are just writing a comma b equal to map of integer comma input dot what is this here? Split. So what you are doing here, you are reading how many values here? Two values. You are reading how many values here? Two values. Using input, I enter how many values? Two values. And this two values is one string or not? Yes. And using split, you are trying to split this one string into how many strings here? Two strings. Now this is a 10 and this is what here? 20. Using map function, you're applying using map, you're applying which function to each value? Integer function, and return this value as which type here? Integer type. And you are reading this value and assign to integer, and integer convert this string to what? Integer. Now it will return one collection. It will return one collection, and this is assigned to how many variables? Two variables. That is one A and one more is what? B. Is it internally? This you are doing which process this is? Is it packing or unpacking? Unpacking on. Because you are reading more than one value. You are reading more than one value. So you are assigning this more than one value to how many variables? Two variables. So assigning list to how many variables? Two variables. Assigning the list to how many variables? Two variables. Is it unpacking or not? Yes. So here 10 is assigned to the variable A and 20 is assigned to the variable what here? B. But this is done by doing some conversion or not? Yes. This is done by using one conversion. And what is that conversion here? Integer. So after that, you are writing C equal to, I want to swap it. But generally swapping means you try to take one temporary variable, C equal to A equal to B, and B equal to what? C. Now this is using which variable here? Third variable. You assign first A value to C and then B value to what? A, and then C value to what? B. But here one extra variable or extra space is created. But instead of creating extra space or extra variable, I want to swap it without using third variable. Then simply you can write A comma B equal to what? B comma A. A comma B equal to B comma A. So what will happen in this case? For example, the value of A is, for example, the value of A is 10 and the value of B is, the value of A is 10 and the value of B is what here? 20. A value is 10 and B value is what? 20. A value is a 10 and B value is a 20. Now then you are saying B comma A. B comma A means what here? This is nothing but creating one tuple. This is nothing but creating one tuple with how many values? Two values. What is the first value? 20. And what is the second value? 10. So first it will create a tuple with how many values here? Two values. First it will create a tuple with how many values? Two values. So after creating the tuple, and this tuple is assigned to how many variables? Two variables. And this you can call it as which one again? Unpacking. This is called as unpacking. So where the 20 is assigned to which variable? A, and 10 is assigned to which variable? B. Okay, 20 is assigned to which variable? A, and 10 is assigned to which variable? B. But here also third space is used. What is that created internally? Tuple. So first you are storing this B and A values inside the tuple, and then you are assigning the tuple to how many variables? Two variables. The first variable is A and second variable is what? B. First variable is A and second variable is a B. Now this is A comma B. Now this is after swapping A value and one more is a B value. And this is before swapping format. So before swapping, okay, I'm trying to print the A value as well as what? B value. Now I need to enter how many values? Two values, 10 space 20. Now you can see before swapping 10, 20, and after swapping 20 and 10. But internally is creating one tuple and unpacking it and assigning to how many variables? Two variables. Assigning to how many variables? Two variables, right? It's a simple example, like swapping two numbers, but without using which variable here? Third variable. Swapping two numbers, but without using third variable. So the value of, yes, 10, 20, and this is 20 and 10. 10, 20, and one more is, yes. Now let us see one more collection which is called as which one? Set. Nothing more about tuples because is mutable or immutable? Immutable. You want to read content of tuple, use index, use what? Slicing. You want me to tell that? Because already we have seen that in the list. Okay, if you want to read it, you can read it using for loop, you can read it using index, you can read it using what? Slicing. I don't require to tell you that again. So tuple also created by using tuple type. So tuple of range 1 comma 11. So this will create a tuple using which data type? Range. How many values are there in the tuple? 10 values. T2 equal to tuple, and I said within double quotes Naresh IT. So tuple is created by reading individual characters or not? Yes. Now tuple is having how many values here? Some nine or eight values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now T3 equal to tuple of, okay, of, this is converting list to what here? Tuple. This is converting list to what here? Tuple. I create one list. I want to convert this list from mutable to what? Immutable. Then I'll say list 4 equal to tuple of. Okay, tuple of which one here? List 1. Now this is tuple 4. Now this is converting mutable list into what? Immutable. And if you want to convert immutable tuple to mutable, then use which one? List. List of tuple, convert tuple to list. Tuple of list, convert list to tuple. Mutable to immutable, immutable to mutable. So you can read the content of tuple by using index. So this index can be either positive or what? Negative. You can read the content of the tuple by using slicing. Okay, T1 of 0 colon. So will it read all the values from the tuple or not? Yes. If I'm writing T1 of colon colon minus 1, so this will print the tuple in reverse or not? Yes. So that is from 10 to 1. Now you can do all the things which we did using which one? List. Whatever we have done with the list, you can do with the tuple except which operations? Mutable operations. You cannot append, you cannot insert. After creating, you cannot append, you cannot insert, you cannot remove. These operations, you cannot do it. If you want to do these operations on the tuple, convert the tuple into what? List. If you want to do this mutable operations on the tuple, convert this tuple into what? List. Okay, now next, there is unordered collection. There is unordered collection called which one? Set. So list is a sequence, ordered. List is what here? Ordered. Which order? Sequential order. How the data is organized in sequential order? Because it is which collection? Ordered collection. Ordered collection. So where the elements are organized in which order? Sequential order. But set is unordered collection. Unordered. Okay. Unordered collection where order is not same. Order is not same, or order insertion order is not preserved. Insertion order is not preserved. Means, for example, if you take list, if you add a 10, 10 will be added in which location? First location. If I added 20, then 20 will be added in which location? Second location. If I added 30, 30 will be added in which location? Third location. You'll say, generally you'll say in school, students, okay, make a sequence. Stand in a sequence. Stand in a sequence in a line. Stand in one line means they'll try to stand in which order? Sequential order. That sequence is one order, right? Where you organize it one by one. But when it comes to the set, set is not a sequential data type. Set is not a sequential. It is what? Non-sequence. It is non-sequence and it is unordered collections. Unordered means where the order is not preserved. It changes from one insertion to what? Another. It means unordered collections uses a specific data structure for organizing what? Data. Unordered collections uses a specific data structure to organize which one? Data. So set doesn't support indexing and what? Slicing, because it is non-sequence data type. Set is a non-sequence data type. It is not a sequenced data type. It is non-sequenced data type. Set is not a sequenced data type. Set is not a sequenced data type. Set is which data type? Non-sequenced data type. Okay, because of that, it doesn't support indexing and what? Slicing. It doesn't support indexing and slicing. So because of that, it doesn't support indexing and slicing, right? We'll just see, but see this sets, I think you learn sets in mathematics, right? You learn sets in mathematics or not? Yes. Now where the sets are used, where the sets are used, any chapter is there or no chapters? Sets are used